All righty, greetings. Welcome to Stunt Hangar and Video Hangouts. My name is Charles Carter, and I'll be your host this evening. Already in the gallery, we have Mark Gerber and Bob Hunt and Stuart Morrison. So we'll just get started right away. But please hit the like button and then please consider subscribing. And please also consider joining our Stunt Hangar YouTube channel memberships, which start at just $4.99 a month. And it help Sparky with some of the expenses of running Stunt Hangar and help me as well. So appreciate it. So without any further ado, we'll get started. The first one in was Mark Gerber. How you doing, Mark?
Good, Charles.
You been doing any flying or
Ha!
building?
No flying. A little bit of building.
Oh, good. Yes, right. You're building your Bearcat, right?
Yeah, Bearcat number two.
All right. You have any images you can share with us on your
Yeah,
progress?
hang on here.
All right. All right. Oh, did I set the share? I think I did.
All right, you see
Excellent.
that?
Yeah, I see it. Thank you very much.
So this is what it looked like at the end of February before I
Right.
started on my series of vacations. So I just got back on it this week again. I started on the wingtips, and I use the method that I've seen Al Rebbe demonstrate, where you glue two pieces of 3/4 inch balsa together in a sandwich, and then tack glue it onto the tip and form it, and then dissolve the glue and take it apart and hollow out the inside and then glue it back together and put it back on. So I'm using this Fab Tack, which is very much like an ambroid glue that Aircraft Spruce and Specialty sells. I think it's originally intended for putting fabric on full-size airplanes, but it works really well for model balsa gluing too. So,
You
and
mentioned,
here's
I'm sorry to interrupt. You mentioned dissolving the glue. How do you dissolve it?
with acetone.
Okay.
Just wick acetone into the crack, and it takes a little while sometimes, so it softens up. It works pretty good. And here's the inboard tip. You see the seam here in the middle where the two pieces are glued together.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to rod out the inside here to make room for the slider. I made a slot in there and then put the slider in. And this is just tack glued together right now. And the slider's just press fit in there. It hasn't glued yet, but it will be later. And here's the outside of it.
All right.
You see I've cut it with a bandsaw to match the airfoil and
Oh, nice.
the tip. Here's the looking at it from the end. And you see the slider in there with enough room to get in there with an Allen driver and move it back and forth and then tighten it down again. And here it is on the plane, um, showing where it fits. Oh, I haven't glued it on yet. This is the outboard tip that's been glued on temporarily. And I'm starting to shape it down. I put masking tape on the sheeting here to protect it
Right.
so I don't sand the sheeting down any farther. And here's your lost foam jig, Bob. It works really well. And then the big event of the week, Thursday, five of us that live here in Colorado, they're members of the Arvada Associated Modelers Club. It's a radio control club that's allowed us to put a circle on their field, and they welcome us as members. They're very nice and easy to get along with. So that's worked out really well. And five of us went to VSC.
Wow. Great.
So we all got together on yesterday, on Thursday, and met at a sort of a central location. The distance between where I live and where John Penny lives is about almost 100 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So we're well spread out, but we try to get together once every month or two.
That
And
one Ringmaster looks just like the one on the kit box.
it sure does. And John got the exhibition award for that.
Well,
So
Nice.
anyway, this is the group of us after we had lunch, and Chris Brainerd here in front got 3 awards. He got I wrote this down here. He got fourth in old time, and third in ringmaster, and first in super 70s.
Oh, wow. Very good.
So he did really well. And it's Jerry Higgins. This was his ringmaster, and he also flew in classic, and I think in old time as well. And then John Penny is a sort of a new guy, although he's a well-known air race pilot from Reno who once flew the Rare Bear.
wow.
And he's a very modest guy. He says he really doesn't fly very well like the rest of us. And he's only flown this ringmaster once. But Jerry convinced him into taking it down to Tucson and just do some fun flying with it while we're there. So Jerry hauled it down for him, and then John flew down. And I talked him into within the exhibition contest, introduced him to Jim Hoffman, and Jim says, "No, you don't have to do anything. Just put the airplane out and tell me you want to have it in the contest, and I'll judge it." So this ringmaster, I don't know if I can zoom in or not. I don't think I can. As Keith Trossel says, it's period perfect. It's
Wow.
as much like he could get it on the original box picture as he could.
Mm.
He's got a McCoy engine, Vico spinner, Vico wheels, period tank. The paint job is, just like on the box. He's got the decal here. So it's a pretty cool looking airplane. It makes you think, back to the good old days of ringmasters that we were all flying back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And then I got an award for my Ryan,
Nice.
Spirit of 64. And then Keith Russell, of course, was there with Chisler that he flew in Classic. And then the Madman here is Diwateen, which unfortunately essentially got destroyed during the contest. It has all kinds of cracks in here because as he was taking off, he chipped the prop
No way.
Oh, no.
and it was unbalanced and didn't have enough thrust to get airborne. It taxied around about half a dozen laps at least, and then John Wright tried to drop a rag into the engine,
Right.
and all that did was it broke one of the other blades off and made it even more unbalanced.
Oh, no.
But
Oh,
it lost a lot of speed and didn't have much thrust at that point. So I was judging. I walked out and grabbed it and put the nose down so it would stop. And I'd never felt an airplane shaking that badly before. And
wow.
when we looked at it, it had cracks all along the side here and into the wings. And
Oh,
Keith said it already had some cracks were developing inside the engine compartment. So he plans to retire this.
I bet.
But it's a beautiful airplane and it's got a lot of good mileage out of it. So
Let's
Do you
see.
anyway,
know what do you know what number Chisler that is for him? He's had a number of them.
no, I don't. Um, we were talking with John at lunch and he's like, I don't know if I could fly with you guys. You're all so good. And I told him a story about the first time I showed up at VSC. I think it was in 98 or 97. And I was a little nervous because I didn't know any of these people from out west here. I just come from New England. And didn't know if I really belonged there or not. And I walk up to the field and I see this guy here, Keith Russell, and he's got a chiseler on the ground at his feet that's in two pieces. And he's holding a control handle looking at and the cable and the handle had broken.
Oh, man.
But I said, well, I guess it happens to the big guys too. So It made me feel like maybe I had a chance to hang around. So
He's had a number of those that had control system failures for one reason or another. I think this is like the fourth or fifth one he's built.
yeah, it probably is. I guess he's probably not going to get on. He doesn't get on very much anymore, but
He's
he,
tenacious.
he could tell you. Um, Same thing with his big jobs. I think he's built at least three of those, and I think he's working on a fourth one now. So anyway, that was my week. It was a lot of fun. It was nice to be back home and get back to work again.
Not bad. Probably tired of vacations,
Yeah, that's about right.
if that's possible.
Oh, we were talking about going to Texas and visiting some friends for the eclipse, and I said I had thought about that, but after all these vacations, I did three different vacations in 3 weeks. I thought I had enough and I'm going to stay home for a while. So we'll watch the eclipse from here.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. Well, thanks for coming in. I really appreciate that. And I think Bob Hunt. Hey, Bob, how you doing? Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Hey guys.
What you been up to?
Well, a lot actually. My back has been feeling a bit better, and I've been back in the shop quite a bit. Got all the cobwebs out of the shop, and because I haven't been in there for a while, I started building a new airplane. Something I've always wanted to do was build a very high aspect ratio airplane.
All right.
I've flown a lot of Dennis Adamison's over the years, his Orange Crate and his Eclipse, and I've watched him fly a number of others. The Mythbuster and also his Puga Magister. They were all nominally 7-to-1 aspect ratio airplanes, very, very long wings. And they all flew great. And I just never was brave enough to take a year to build one, and risk having not having an airplane for that year, So now that I don't have to worry about that anymore, I'm building a 7-to-1 aspect ratio twin. It's going to have two Park 480s in it with Talon 25 ESCs because it's going to be fairly light and it'll pull it really well. I understand, maybe Howard can confirm this, that I was talking with Paul. He's either got 4 Park 480s or Park 450s in the B-17 now. Is that accurate, Howard?
I don't know.
Thanks for confirming that. But I'm also putting in this new control system I've designed into the airplane. I finally bit the bullet and built the fuselage crunch in a way that I can't put in the normal control system. I have to put in this new control system. So I'm forced myself into it. So Dennis, the airplane is underway. The wing is covered. The fuselage crutch is built. The nacelles are built. And I'm about 4 days into construction and the thing's almost ready to go together. So
Wow.
Sounds like you're a week from filler coat.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the wingspan on the plane?
What's that?
What's the wingspan?
63 inches. And the average chord is 9 1/8. It looks like a sailplane. So, but Dennis convinced me, he didn't actually convince me. Watching him fly his airplanes convinced me, and flying his what was it, the Orange Crate I flew, and also the Eclipse, right?
Yeah. Flew them both.
Which one did you like best? Of all of them.
Yeah, the Eclipse was the best one of any of the high aspect airplanes, especially the last one I built. It was the first one that finished out at a good weight, and so
That's the black and yellow and red one.
No, that was the first one was black with yellow and red. That flew well too, but it had some structural issues. The one that you flew was was actually the heaviest one. It was 49 ounces, which on that size wing was that was a load, but it handled it well. But the last one I built that I really liked was 42 ounces, and that was a nice weight, for the power and everything like that. That all came together really well.
Well, I've been getting impatient with you. Waiting for the plans for the Fuga Magister, so I've decided to go ahead and build my own airplane.
That's a good plan, because those plans are no closer than they were 10 years ago. So
Let's not rush into anything, Dennis.
No, that's it. I'm building. It seems to be spending all my time building other people's airplanes. I'm getting kind of tired of that too. So
Congratulations, by the way, on all your successes at VSC, but most in particular the Keeper of the Flame. That's great.
that's
Yeah.
thanks. That was absolutely stunning, intimidating, humbling, everything like that. You take a look at the people who've been recognized in the past and stuff like that. It's like a who's who, of it. And I like the idea of the Keeper of the Flame. It's not just a competition award. It's like, it's means that, hey, you're recognized for trying to give some things back and stuff. And you just got to redouble the effort. Flying with that crowd uh, uh, made me really, I'd like to concentrate on trying to figure out how to get these vertigo stunt patterns that I've been working on, trying to find a way to get them in place, incorporated, so that a lot of the VSC type, shall we say, we'll have another avenue to keep flying.
Is that the Schedule 60 things?
Yeah. Try to keep everything low. And I got an old time variation on it too that looks really good. I think that one might actually be a little easier. Didn't have enough time to work. I was hoping to try to work something in, with this VSC, at least flying some demo flights or something like that. And I just never got around to that. So that's all on me. So no, Jim and the crew put on a heck of a meet, as you well know how, what an undertaking that is, and what a great job they do there. Banquet was
They always
great.
do. I went to 22 of them.
Yeah, I've been to 2, so I got a few more to catch up. So, and when you see somebody like what John Wright flew the Barnstormer, he flew at VSC 1.
Wow.
All right, that's 35 years ago. I mean, how many 35-year-old airplanes you got laying around that you could pick up and fly again, or want to?
Want to.
That's it. So anyhow, yeah, that was a real good time. I saw, while I was waiting to get in here, I saw Mark was showing off the crew from Denver. Man, they took over the place all week. They just kept coming in, and they kept doing better and better. So yeah, Chris Brainerd had a really good week. So and yes, Jim Hoffman's Lunar it's prettier actually in person than it is in the chat room. All right.
Wow.
He was got the best finish, or the top pilot's choice, I guess, is more accurate for classic, and it was a shoe in. I got, again, the most likely to be found on a fire pit award, but nah, it's Monaco, and Monaco does what Monaco does. It actually, I got a lot of nice compliments on the Gypsy. It was nice color. The colors played really well, and it looked good on the sky, against even a blue sky. So anyhow, I got a bunch of pictures too, if you want to go through those or not, or
That's fine. Go ahead.
Is this a good time, or you want to
Go ahead.
for a dead time?
No, go ahead. I don't think we have a dead time tonight. I just don't think so.
All right. Oops, I got to open share screen. I have to turn off my alarm. Hang on a second here. Don't. Well, let's try to get that later. Share. What am I sharing? Where'd it go? Stop share. Share screen. Now we got it. But it feels like I've been away for a month. Oh. Okay, we coming through loud and clear here?
Yeah.
Okay, Chris McMillan, who has joined us once or twice in the past. He's hanging on for Keith Trussell and his very, very pretty. All right, what is it?
Chiseler.
Thank you. He had it upside down. I couldn't read the name on it. So
I keep busting his chops saying he should paint one someday that looks like the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, because it would
yeah,
be
yeah,
perfect on
that
that
sounds
airplane.
about right. That's it. That's Chris's airplane. He has a real pretty
Nice.
Geesky Nobler. And he was flying it on 57-foot lines. He's got an LA 46 on it. And I convinced him, he wanted to try a set of Spectra lines, and I convinced him to let me make them 60 feet, Uh, I think it worked a lot better that way. But he had more room to work, of course, and he just let the engine breathe a little better. Okay, that's my Gypsy.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. I tried duplicating. It was actually Jim Sohavy's first version before he even called it Gypsy. But the first version of the airplane was blue on blue in that scheme. Even though his was the 550 square inch, the nobler size version, and this is the Brodak kit, which was of his 46 version, like 100 square inches bigger. John Calentine's Mustang, which is just everywhere you look, all you see is beautiful airplane.
Wow.
And you see the shady panel lines and stuff like that. It's just beautiful. Rick Green, humongous. Rick was having a good week. He was flying very well in all events and stuff. He did real well there. And you seen Jim Rhodes, Apteryx. Yes, I always do that. I always had a little bone to pick with Jim on this. I remember Jerry Wert's original having 100 ribs in it, an I-beam look, and Jim's is a plank leading edge. Says, no, that's the way it was. I said, Jim, I held the original in my hands. Oh, never mind. Aforementioned Lunar, which is, just the closer you look at it, I mean, there's so many pinstripes on pinstripes and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. I'm surprised Jim can still see, actually, with all of the detail work had to do on that. There we go. I can read the name this way. And Keith always builds just exquisitely detailed airplanes. They're just beautifully built. And the Chisler is no exception. Some guy in Denver with this thing. Always liked that airplane. Mark, you've built all of the Charles Perrault airplanes, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Where's this? How would you rank them? The best, the worst, or are they all about the same, or what do you think?
Building another P-47, I think that one's going to probably be the best of any of them, but we'll see. Got to build another Bearcat first before I get back on that.
Well, yeah.
I think the Ryan is probably the worst.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll be darned. So, it looks good.
It seems to fly better in the wind, but it's really hard to.
Constant chord airplane. They fly great in the wind.
Yeah, it doesn't track as well.
Huh.
The P-40 is probably the best. The trouble with all Charles Parrott's airplanes are the vertical CG is off because he puts the wing too low in the fuselage.
Yeah, they're all low wings, flat
And
wings.
don't have any dihedral. Yeah.
Yeah.
Raise the battery.
That's it.
Yeah.
So more pictures of the Denver crew. Somebody there's totally disinterested. This is one of the Denver airplanes, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Jerry's.
Okay.
Ringmaster, Jerry Higgins. I think.
And Chris Brainerd still ours for that's what he won Super 70s with.
Correct.
And don't know whose ringer this is.
Pretty though.
Really nice looking ringmasters.
I think that's Joe Gilbert's ringmaster.
I don't know. Was it? I thought Joe's was a different shade of blue. I don't know. You might be right. Here, Joe's giving Jim what for about who knows what, but yeah.
Nice scores.
It's the only scoreboard picture I was able to. I had scoreboard pictures and I seem to have lost them all, but Roger Kramer, built a real pretty Nobler. I understand Roger just recently did a YouTube video on covering with what you call it, Polyxvan,
Huh?
and then overcovering with chap tissue as a means of reducing the amount of filler that you need on top.
Yep.
So that sounds like a really good plan. I'd like to see if I can find a link for that video. Okay, more of the Mustang.
Nice.
Rick Green's Cavalier. His wife's a cancer survivor, and he did the colors of the ribbons that they,
Nice.
I guess, have yellow is breast
Cool.
cancer. I don't know. Oh, Rogers Nobler. Bob Hartness built a really nice smoothie. Flew in both old time and classic. So,
Formula S.
yeah. Was it Gary?
Gingrich.
No,
No,
Gary
not Gary.
Akers.
Gary Akers. Yeah, there we go.
But the airplane was built by Lou Corbett, former Smithsonian.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Okay. And
That's
didn't know-
pretty.
yeah, that was. Do you know remember who that was, Jim?
That is Mike Meadows' airplane. And that might be an old Kurt Contrada airplane.
Oh, really?
Mike Meadows certainly didn't build that.
Okay.
Hmm.
And the classic winner, Paul Walker took an airplane from Joe Dills, basically a modified Shark 45. And Joe had built it in 68, and Paul had his, he liked the airplane, and Joe asked him to apparently to work on, or take some of his airplanes and stuff. Paul focused on this one. He was actually able to restore it, starting by putting in a brand new control system. All right, bell crank, lead outs, push rods, everything had to be replaced. Elevator horn. He had to rebuild a lot of the fuselage mainly. I think he said that the top covering on the inboard wing was about the only unrestored panel on the whole airplane.
Wow.
Fuselage had a lot in it.
That's nice.
And he, though technically he didn't build the airplane, he put enough work into it, what he described it, he probably would have been better off building a brand new one rather than trying to restore it. It was interesting just to see a 1968 vintage airplane, truly a classic airplane competing. It flew well. Dennis Nunes,
Mhm.
Gladiator,
Right.
and that's the small one, I guess. He doesn't have the extended wing in it. That flew well. He had overruns both flights on day one, so he's up against it on day two, but he did get the engine sorted out and got his flights in on day two. Steve McBride's Patriot that he uses in classic, nice job. And Dave Tribble had a Lark. He had one flight on the airplane when he got there, so and he did well with it too. Larks, Bob, you flew Larks. You
Oh
flew a
yeah.
Lark for a while.
Yeah, I flew a Lark at VSC several times.
Yeah. It's a good flying bird, isn't it?
Very good flying, a good wind airplane. It's got very small flaps. You have to build it light.
Mhm.
But it really, really flies well on the wind. Excellent airplane.
Mhm. Robert Compton brought this, brought
Bill
the
Simons.
shoestring, and I think so, and it's a good size airplane. He was having all kind of trouble, including hand in the prop trouble and things like that, and he ended up not flying. So,
Yuck.
Jim Lee with the Go Devil, in the ignition. There was only two people who flew in ignition. But these things are something, flying them, no no mufflers or anything like that. They just take over the whole field when these guys are up. I guess they both flyers got their flights in. Another picture of the Apteryx, no arc. Oh, geez, Rogers Nobler. I took some pictures. My wife was running around taking pictures too. So, all right. Another one of Rick's Cavalier. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim, your airplane makes me want to go out and order salmon.
I like those guys. That's one thing that drew me to that airplane when Warren had one, was the colors.
Mhm. You know, we had a short debate. Is it salmon or is it coral? And
Well, Warren says it's coral, and I took Warren's airplane to the car paint store, and they did their color matching magic, and it is what it is. I've
Yeah.
been told it's pink too, so you gotta.
yeah, really. Well, I wondered, was the original like some stock car color or something like that? You know, like Ford coral or Ford pink or Ford
There
salmon or
That's
There
Warren's
was a-
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
They had all those pastel colors back then in that era.
Mm,
That was one of them.
Yeah, but that's what Warren says. It's some stock car color.
Yeah.
mhm,
I think I discovered the year Warren built his. We never could remember, but I think it was as recently as 08.
mhm.
I found an email or some piece of paper that had a date on it
Mhm.
associated with the airplane.
And Warren actually worked from the original airplane too, right?
Yes, he had
So-
gotten it from Bill Wearwidge. It was just, a Hulk living in his house. All the covering was gone, but on the ribs, there was covering. And from that, he was able to interpolate the colors and the paint design.
Wow.
Sure. Couple
And
of
I
pictures
showed
or-
Art Pulowski's, I guess it's his brother, lives in Southern California. And I showed him a photo of while I was building it of Warren's. And he said that was spot on to what the original looked like.
Mhm.
That had to be a handful.
The fly?
Pair of 35s.
I'm not
Oh, I
sure.
Like you would build, John.
Huh?
This was not a
Looked like-
very big airplane, and it wasn't flown in competition. I think it had 15s in it. I'm not sure.
Maybe, yeah.
Uh, gosh, you wonder who took all the pictures, huh? Okay. Okay, Jerry Chambers, was it?
Yeah.
At the hardest starting Fox 35 on the planet. All right, this is my wife taking pictures, walking to the circle. She did get a couple of
That's a
decent
nice picture.
in-flights. She managed to get me without actually getting my face. So
I
that
see
was,
that.
that was a
How'd
good
she
one.
do that?
She's an excellent photographer.
That's it. That's it. And there's that borrowed airplane you were talking about. Here's Gary Akers. I think this was Stephen Michalik. How do you
Michelle.
pronounce it?
Michelle.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's his
Michelli.
notebook. And he was there. He got his flights in there in Ringmaster. Well, I guess old time Ringmaster event and classic. Oh, geez.
Mhm.
Finally some Ringmasters. And I couldn't identify this airplane either. I don't know what it was.
I don't know.
John Penny built the Ringmaster. I think you guys were talking about. He had a Firecat there too. That same story. It looked like it just came off the Jim Walker kit box.
That was
Started
another
on yours
plane that
again,
had
Jim?
I'm sorry.
Jim Hoffman said he was inspired to build kit that he had. So I was just
Mhm.
asking Jim if he started it yet.
Hmm.
No, I do have a kit, and so does Jim Aaron. and we both talked about it.
That's another
I
airplane that
looked
has
at
a
the
vertical
kit.
CG problem. The wing is way too low compared to the
Right.
motor.
Right. So if I built it, I think I'd put dihedral in it. It wouldn't be old time stunt legal, but it might fly.
The
But the
airplanes
kit is
flew, I
so
remember the airplanes flying really, really well. And as far as a vertical CG, forego the Walker Cup effort and you'll be perfectly happy with it. I think
I
it'll
had
be
one,
fine.
and it had that really had that problem badly. So,
Yeah.
but Jim, you wouldn't even have to disqualify yourself. You just tell them you're a poor builder. You had the wings back, you know.
The wing, but yeah. Well, the cool thing, if you got the original kit, especially with CA glue, you could start it right now, and by the time Charles hits the sign off, you'd have the thing framed up.
Yeah, it's easy to build.
It's
Yeah.
extreme. It's prefab beyond belief.
Interlocking.
Yeah.
But the wood is so awful. I cringed when I looked at that wood. It was so heavy.
This is funny. My first flight, David Fitzgerald was judging, and he said he'd come out after my flight. He says, "You know, if my dad was here, he'd have taken away all your points for that landing." You know, what's that? He said, the tail wheel there, it's so loud. So, and he was right. It was really loud. On day 2, I found got myself a little couple of drops of oil on the tail wheel. And I was pointing the fact out to Dave before the second flight and told him I expected the points to be cascading onto his score sheet because of that. So
Where was it written in the rule book that you have to have a quiet tail wheel?
Yeah, that's it. It was obnoxiously loud, and then it became silky smooth quiet. So, oh gee,
Nice
I must
picture.
have really liked this airplane.
Nice though.
I think that used to be a glow airplane that was converted.
It was.
It was, yeah.
He had it was converted to electric, and he didn't even have he had the plugs hanging out the bottom and stuff like that. So it was kind of hard to plug it in and unplug it and everything like that. He didn't even have an arming switch in it. So it was kind of a two-man operation to arm it and disarm it.
Roger's a good builder.
And that's got to be John Wright, isn't it?
It's like
Yep.
Yep.
All right, more in flights. Not as good a picture. She actually
Looks like your outboard wing is a little high there, Denny.
I think it might have been. I got wing wiggle problems with it and stuff. One of the things I want to do here, I'm going to be checking the wing and see if I was having a devil of a time getting the wings level and the tip weight right and everything like that.
It's those heavy
it was
lines
still
you're
changing.
using. It's those
Yeah,
heavy
it
lines.
might have been. Might have been. So you can see it, the expression on my face saying, "Gee, what's Bob going to say about this?" Oh. All right.
I had three
it's even
sweaters
bad
on at the
inverted.
time.
All right. Team effort with the plenty of commentators too. So there's Trib with the Lark. And of course Joe and Colleen. Another picture of the Lark. I believe this is our own Mr. Hoffman.
Nice.
Yeah. Had a little better picture of the
Gladiator.
The Gladiator. Yeah. Of course, Dennis is a really nice builder and everything like that. So it looked really good. All right. Now on an official flight. Colleen is saying, it's cold here, Joe. Get your butt moving. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like Roger's trying to fly upright and his airplane's inverted, doesn't it? His hand is, I mean, you see that?
Handle very low there.
Yeah, it's low and it's kind of trailing the airplane. All right. Hey, does that demonstrate 45 degrees? I thought it did.
Yeah.
Looks close.
Trib and Jim Lee was helping him. Jim's always a blast.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe it. I don't have any pictures of his mutation. which is the airplane he flew. It's basically a full fuselage imitation that he had built way back when, and he just duplicated it for this year. I guess that's the last one I got.
Well, thank you so much. That's awesome.
Well,
Before we go on, there's something that came up when you were showing those pictures, and I wanted to comment on. You were mentioning that somebody was covering with polyspan and then putting Japanese tissue over it so he wouldn't have to put so much dope on it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a polyspan light. Are you familiar with that?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
I have some, and I've used it. The only problem with it is it's got such open pores that you couldn't fill it with dope if you tried. Really, it's more for free flight models, I think. But if you were going to try that trick, that might be the way to go to save some weight.
That sounds like a real good plan.
Yeah, you get it from Larry Davidson. He's got it.
That sounds like a great plan because it's kind of funny. I don't know. Just thinking about painting and stuff like that. If I cover anything with paper, I don't think I'd want to use silkspan anymore. Polyspan seems to make more sense, but then all the things you get into with fuzzies and lots of clear and stuff like that, that Jap tissue would be a great savior on that. So
that polyspan light is really nice stuff, and if you could fill it, because it's got really open pores, you have to put a lot of dope on it to fill the the weave. But it's very light, very light.
Like Howard's got an answer there, right there.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. I got this light polyspan, and it's not very useful by itself. But yeah, when I heard of that covering it with the tissue, I think that's how to do it.
Can I see it again? Can I see it again, Howard? I was slow on the mouse.
It just says light polyspan.
Oh, okay. All right.
Where's it come from?
Larry Davidson, was it?
Yeah.
Larry Davidson.
I got his contact information, I think, if you want me to.
Is he on Stunt Hangar? Contact him that way?
No, he's an old-time RC old-timer guy.
Okay.
Sam Champ at jetbroadband.com.
What is it again?
Sam Champ, as in
Society of Antique Modelers.
Society of Antique Modelers. Sam Champ at jetbroadband.com. I'll show you a picture of that address.
I'll be right back.
All right. Thank you, Bob. And thank you, Howard. Let's see here. Sam Champ. Very cool.
Man.
Oh, Japanese tissue. It mentions that. Oh, for trim. Okay.
Well, that's actually a good plan though too. If you cover it with tissue and then use different color tissues for trim and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was talking to Tim Just today about he's going to use a Cricut to cut tissue trim, and if that doesn't work, we'll blast it with a laser. I bet you can cut about 20 sheets of it at the same time.
Yeah,
stacked up.
I would think that stuff would be really hard to cut that way,
With a light.
It's that's just the Cricut is just a blade, isn't it?
He said that there's some something to mount the tissue to that's kind of sticky.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I just laser it.
Lasering would be well, as long as you control the heat.
I spent much of my youth cutting out tissue letters with an X-Acto knife. Pinned
That'd
down.
Be great. That'd be great, actually. So, all right.
Laser's good for paper.
What about polyspan is actually a polyester. Would you have any trouble with hard edges or anything like that? You think if you tried lasering polyspan?
I don't know. I can tell you in a minute or two if you mind. Here we are in real time doing an experiment. Can you laser polish man? You can laser Kevlar.
Well, what the heck? I suppose you you wouldn't want to laser the poly span anyway. You just cut it with a blade to cover your panel and you'd end
Got
up
a
trimming
fire
the edges
extinguisher
anyway.
around?
But
Well, it's more fun to laser.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Danny. Appreciate that. Hey,
Well,
Stuart.
anyhow, yeah, I had an absolutely great time at BSC. Competition wise, it didn't sound, like that great a time, but all together it worked out. I had a third in old time, a third in classic, a second in ringmaster, and I got an award for the most unusual airplane for demo, the demonstration event. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to demonstrate it because every time I went to go out to fly it, it got a little breezy, and that was. I think I've shown it here before.
Hey,
The Hall Bulldog, my dad built about 1960. Yeah, he built this about 1960, and it's never been flown. All right.
Wow, I never seen that.
For some obvious reasons. It's a little intimidating. I thought, you know what? Thing's been waiting since 1960. It can wait a little longer for a 5-mile-an-hour day. So
They had electric motors in 1960?
they sure did.
Uh-huh.
Are you kidding? They had electric washers and dryers and dishwashers and
Bulldog.
Electric
now
cars.
they got an electric bulldog. So
Just real quick, I know you got to. This is that wing I was telling you about. You want to make it big
Oh
there.
wow, make it big.
This is that polyspan light.
mhm.
This is about a 36-inch wingspan. It weighs weighs about 2 ounces.
That's great. That's great.
And
Nice.
it's got I don't know if we can even see. That's the polyspan light. You can see it. You can see through it much easier, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's very, very light. And this was also built in the Lost Foam
Mhm.
Right.
fixture. Anyway,
What design is that?
it was an airplane I'm calling the wire stripper.
Okay.
And I started building it feverishly when Jersey Jim Martin, you remember him, I'm sure, Dennis,
Yeah.
the Banshee.
Right.
He's a good friend of mine, and he had an indoor facility that we're flying indoor RC electric at up in Williamsport, and he said we're going to have this big indoor thing, and they want you to come up and fly control line indoor. So I started feverishly building this thing. I put it together in about 4 days, and I'm starting to get it all put together. And he called me up. He said, it snowed and the roof collapsed.
Oh no.
Oops.
So I never finished it, but I will.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's I don't know, my local club here, we used to fly indoor RC in a golf dome, which is basically, it looked like an inflatable Quonset hut kind of thing with about a 90-foot ceiling or so.
Yeah.
And it was nominally it was like an indoor soccer practice field, what they normally rented it for. And we could rent it on like occasional Thursday nights at 10 o'clock or, for 2 hours or something. And that was the only time they would let us in the place. And got to be a little expensive. They expected us to bring, I guess 100 people all buying concession stands, items, and, chowing down and everything. And I guess they figured we weren't a good investment. So we don't go back there anymore. Can't go back there anymore. So anyhow.
And we had a good time when you came out here to Escondido.
Yeah,
Right.
that was fun too. After the meet, my wife and I, she flew out. She had to work. I drove down. I was there for a week, and she came and met me. After and when I had been there for a week, she came down actually the evening after old time, and she hung out the rest of the week there. And then the day after the banquet, we headed on a grand tour through. Well, saw went to some nice parks around Tucson, and up to Phoenix, over to Escondido. while we were climbing the mountains into Escondido, they did the SpaceX, the last SpaceX launch was like right over our heads.
Wow.
And it was the first rocket launch I'd ever seen. I had no idea what it was. My wife thought, hey, gee, somebody pushed a button or something like that. This is the end of the world. And no, not quite. But it was damned unusual. I can tell you that. I'd never seen anything like that. It was in the twilight sky, and this thing is just glowing and everything like that. But so that was a first. And get to Escondido the next day, and I hung out with my wife's aunt, and then Charles come over and got me, and Joe Mata met us. We went to lunch, and I had a great time. We were talking airplanes. Saw the workshop where all the magic happens at Charles' house, and we were having such a good time, and we didn't even bother to take a selfie picture or something like that to prove that I was there or anything like that. So you have to take my word for it and Charles' word for it. I was there.
Cool.
But then we continued up into through California and Oregon, the Columbia River along there, and jogged over into Washington, had lunch, and came back to Oregon, Idaho, Montana, got to North Dakota, got caught in a monster snowstorm that they were having, snow and windstorm, bailed out of the rest of our trip, and ended up home actually very late, well, very early Wednesday morning, around 3 a.m. Wednesday. So been catching up ever since. About 7,500 miles overall. And so pretty good days, or a pretty good couple of weeks there.
So you got to see the path I take to the Nats.
At least a small piece of it, but yeah.
Along the Columbia River and through,
okay, do you go through Boise and all that?
Yeah, through Boise.
Okay, we went through there.
Coeur d'Alene.
Now
yeah, when we got to Fargo, we were going to try to go into Minnesota the one night, and the snow got so bad. It was actually wasn't even snowing; it was blowing snow that completely, it was covering up the road and everything like that. We ended up, staying in Fargo, and the next day it was still blowing, only it was blowing and snowing in Minnesota. So we decided we went dead south out of Fargo through the eastern, through Iowa Falls, Iowa City, and finally cranked over horizontal and got on Highway 80. And it was, by then it was, the snow had gone away. So even though it was still windy, we were able to make a pretty normal trip after that. But we had some exciting times there while we were getting out of the blowing snow. It was blowing onto the road and sticking. And then it was just at that thing, it would stick, freeze, and turn to glare ice, and then you'd go a little farther, it would go away, and then it was kind of interesting there for a while. But all in all, it was a great trip. Had a great time. Yeah, I got back or work helping my son finish off. He's been finishing off the last room and the first floor of his house and everything like that. We were helping him paint. I tried like hell to talk him into monocoat, and no, he insisted on painting. So
You get 20 points for it?
That'd be a pretty expensive monocoat job.
yeah, well, paint was no bargain either. I know I could have done it in one coat. All right.
Hey, one thing, Gary is really riveted by all this.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, that's it. So
Hey,
no
Danny,
monocoat.
real quick, Danny, this is for you.
All right.
This is the one panel, and this includes the flaps. The flaps aren't cut out of here yet, but this is that's the high aspect ratio thing.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's going to be 63 inches when it's done. The flaps will be cut out of this. So when I see you, it's gonna.
That looks just great, man.
Into your system there.
Very nice.
When you okay, when you mount the landing gear, you don't mount it in the wing at all, right? You mount right to
Yeah.
the nacelles, don't you?
No, this one's in the wing.
It's going to be in the wing, not okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
I like to add a big twin. What I do is I make a dummy panel or a template panel. Every time I make a wing, I make an extra panel that's the same exact of the same templates, and I cover it with the same thickness sheeting. And then I have something that I can measure out from the center of the panel to where the fuselage side will pass over the wing and make a cut there in the bandsaw, and I have a plug gauge. And I can put a center line on that, put it onto the center line of the fuselage piece I'm going to make, go around it, open it up until it fits perfectly. And you don't even have to check the alignment when you put it together. The skew can't, the incidence can't be off. It's going to be perfect every time. But then when you're doing a twin, you go a little further out on that panel, the same panel, and you go to where you want to put your nacelles, and you cut to make two cuts. So you have a inboard nacelle template and an outboard nacelle template. And then I take the outer piece of that dummy panel or template panel, and I coat it with Z-epoxy and sand it, and I use that as a tip mandrel. I make my tips on the mandrel instead of on the wing. And that way you're not messing up the sheeting on the wing when you're sanding everything in.
Sure, you can
And
do about a
everything fits
98%
perfect.
carve.
This is a jig that I made to make the nacelles. It's the right width and everything, and then you just build the nacelles right on the little jig.
That's slick.
Wow.
That
Nice.
is
And then
slick.
in turn, the nacelle will fit.
Perfect. Yeah.
That's great.
Upside down, I think.
Is that a straight wing, straight leading edge?
No, it's got taper.
Oh, okay.
So one of these is different than the other. That's
Yeah,
why
that's
you
what I was
get
gonna
that cut.
ask.
So you get two different. So you get the front of this parallel to the center line of the wing.
Right.
And if you see how nice it fits,
Yeah.
Do
Very
you
nice.
try to make the nacelles, are they dead parallel to the fuselage, or do you offset the nacelles?
No, I just make them dead parallel, and I offset the motors just slightly. But basically, with the twin, I found that even if the motors are straight ahead, just moving making the inboard motor run slightly faster than the outboard motor is really a valuable trim adjustment. So I haven't opened up for the gear. It has a place where I'll open up and put the gear plates in and everything. I just finished covering this today, so.
Okay, that's great.
I like
That's
the
great.
jig idea you got there, Bob.
And this is the fuselage crutch. It's 1/16 inch balsa, and you see that I've put lightning holes in the formers, but the push rod will not go through the fuselage.
Okay.
Push rod is going to go above the fuselage, and the horn and the elevator is going to be sticking up. It may just cut into the top of these formers just slightly, but it's going to have an output arm above the wing. The bell crank is going to be on a shaft that spins in bushings, and there's an output arm goes side to side, and that's where the push rod is going to attach and go straight back to the elevator horn. So there's no angle in the push rod. And then on the bottom, there's going to be another output, and that'll go back to the flap horn, which will be sticking down. And there'll be a little hatch there, which will allow me to do all the adjustments, including the length of the push rod from the bell crank to the flap horn, which I feel is one of the major adjustments we haven't had. And I think it's very important. So this is going to have a whole different kind of control system in it.
Very cool.
Nice.
Very cool.
Might be an idea to put a little indicator on there so you can tell when your bell crank is aligned properly in the wing.
Well, who's to say that when we normally put them in where the output of if you draw a line between where the two lead outs attached to the bell crank, that line is normally we install it so it's parallel to the center line of the wing, right? Who's to say that's right? I think it's wrong. I mean, and Dean Pappas agrees with me. He says every time you adjust the lead out, you have to adjust the position of the bell crank too. And I don't know how much that is, but I'm going to find out.
That's
Mhm.
why Howard has his cranked belt crank that he uses.
Mhm.
Brings that in.
But have it infinitely adjustable, I think, is a good idea.
I agree.
And also be able to adjust the ratios at the belt crank instead of at the elevator horn. I'll be able to adjust the ratios and also adjust the length of the push rod from the belt crank to the elevator horn at the hatch in the top. Because my airplanes look like jets, and they have that canopy, which has the brake line of the canopy is right above where the belt crank is, so I can get in there and work on it.
Good idea.
Nice. Nice.
Very good.
Thank you very much. Hey, Stuart Morrison, do you have anything you want to share with us? Have you been up to anything in the shop? Where'd he go? Is he still here? I don't see him.
I was gonna, if I may, I was gonna say that there could be a problem if you have those two push rods and you try to adjust the difference between the flaps and the elevator throw. By adjusting either one of them, you could mess something else up.
What's that? I didn't
Oh,
hear that.
I got something to show you here. Look at that. This is a letter Y. It's about an inch high, cut out of polyspan
Look at that.
Oh,
with a laser.
Wow.
So yeah, you can laser polyspan.
That's
you
cool.
don't have a funny edge on it or anything like that?
No,
Okay,
Wow.
that's great.
yeah, polyspan's really good at paper and stuff. I mean, laser's really good at paper.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now we know. All right.
Oh,
Did we lose Stuart Morrison? I think we did. I don't see him.
Don't see him.
I don't see him. So Gary, how you doing, Gary?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah. Doing the
Good.
best I can. Right.
All right, good, good.
Yeah.
And then we had the original Steve Smith from St. Louis.
Yeah.
He came in. Hey, Steve, how you doing? I know you got your dog there with you.
Yeah, I'm doing good, and he's a pest. Yeah, got a lot of work done on the Crossfire this week. Lots of sanding.
Yeah,
But also got to go out flying one day, which was nice.
nice.
Weather coming up here in St. Louis is not too good, but maybe this Thursday or Friday we can go flying. But yeah, I done a lot of sanding this week.
Yeah,
How's the rebuilt airplane flying for you?
Yeah, no, that's flying pretty good. Got a little bit of trim still to do, but I think I'm getting close with that one. So I'm looking forward to bringing that up to Fort Wayne.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you. I got a set of lime green lines for you too.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they'll match.
Yeah, that's it.
My wife calls it the green monster or the green goblin.
Green
All right.
Goblin. All right, that's great.
I have Sparky to thank for redoing that and doing a very good monocoat job with some wild green color.
Hmm.
But I like it. I actually
Looks
like
good.
it.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, now we got Sparky converted to monocoat. I mean, what the heck? So
I don't think so.
I think he said never again.
he said,
I think he's
Yeah.
referring it as monopuke, wasn't he?
Yes, he
Yeah.
did. Yeah, monopuke.
he's studiously ignoring me right now. So whatever. So
He's working on his tanks.
Yeah.
all right.
I want to give Jim Hoffman a chance before he has a hard stop. I know he can't stay with us all night. Hey, Jim, thanks so much for coming in. I missed you. I know you was busy with VSC, and also happy congratulations to you being a grandpa. And
Thank you. My
Awesome.
daughter had a baby. He'll be 2 weeks tomorrow. So we were out there last week, and we're going again Wednesday. We'll be gone for about a week. It's been a very busy time for me.
yeah,
Between VSC is just a piece of it. But I was able to help. I hope most of you saw that article Dennis Nunes put together.
Yeah, that was great.
Excellent.
Okay, so I was able to help him. I provided the photos and the captions and all the who did what stuff, but he did the heavy lifting, put that article together.
nice.
You were talking about Polyspan, and I think the idea of using Jap tissue is a good idea. I've been using Polyspan since Bob mentioned it to me several decades ago, and I love it. I did once put double-aught silk span over it in an effort to do exactly what you're describing, save some dope, and that worked fine. Jap tissue is a better idea. But something I do with Polyspan, you're right, it takes a lot of clear dope to fill it. So I bought a reasonably good quality 2-inch brush,
Okay.
and you thin it as little as you can, and you put it on with this brush. You can do a whole plane in 10-15 minutes, and that's what I've been doing. So I keep pretty detailed weight records. The clear does not add much weight. There probably is a gain to go get with the Jap tissue. I'd have to do some analysis and do some tests, but that's very clever on Roger's part. What else is going on? I got to fly I flew yesterday. It's nice to fly an electric airplane.
Mm-hmm.
And Dennis was kind enough to provide me with some
Oh, wow. Very nice.
Spectra material, wind tamer, 100 pound. And I've converted just about every plane I'm flying to Spectra, but I've not tried the big one. So this one next opportunity, I'll give the big one a try. I have flown my Pathfinder is probably in the low 50-ounce range. I fly that on Spectra. And the Lunar's never flown on anything but Spectra.
Nice.
So,
That line that Jim was just showing, we had this grand scheme here. I did a lot of people ask about Spectra lines, so I did a little thing on making Spectra lines there. And we just had everybody, hanging around the bench there, showing it off and stuff. I did have this grand scheme that we were going to take Phil's lines. They've been made up on one end. They've been stretched and they're ready to make up the final end, and that was going to be the class, if you will, to do that. And we didn't do it. So,
but there were 17 people standing there for a half hour paying attention.
Yeah.
I'm
there's
sure
a lot
some
of
of them
questions.
are going
There's
to
a lot
try
of
it.
interest and everything like that. But I don't know. Jim made a real nice fact sheet, if you will, things with the links to the video and stuff like that material. So anyhow, I'm
Well,
really coming around to using a wind tamer line on most anything. It's kind of a baseline for anything. So yeah.
I know Warren bought some. I need to teach him how to tie the knots now.
Yeah.
So,
Very cool.
Let's see, who was using it? You and me and Mark. You used it, weren't you? Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
And then Chris used it. I think that was it. So, which is twice as many people as the last time I was there.
Yeah.
So, what the heck?
Very good. Let me catch up on the chat box, but we have 29 concurrent viewers, 15 likes. So if you haven't hit the like button, please smash that. That helps the analytics of the show. And don't forget, we have the super chats. You can support us with the super chat or do the super thanks if you're watching this as a replay. And don't forget the YouTube memberships, which started just $4.99 a month. And I have it myself. I think last time I checked, it's been 3 years and 9 months. running that I've been doing it. So I'm asking you to do it as well. And in the chat box, we have Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. He says, hey, everyone. And then Gary Sinclair, who's a member of our YouTube channel, and he's also a monitor. He says, hi, everyone, like provided. And Dennis Adamison, who's a member of our YouTube channel. He supports us, and he says, like delivered, join you soon. And Marcel Legrand says, hi, Charles, and everyone at Stunt School. Wish you all a happy Easter. Don't forget what Easter really stands for. And then Mark Lumen, who's also a member of our YouTube channel, he says, got you liked. Gonna maiden the P-51 tomorrow. Looks like a good weather here in Kansas. Well, good luck. Hope you have fair winds and tight lines, Mark Lumen. And then this is a new name. I don't know who this is. Mimis, and asking if Gary's okay when Gary was asleep. But Gary's alive. Gary is alive and kicking. And then Brett Williams says, howdy, guys. And then Marcelo Legrand says, hi, Brent. So we're all caught up on the chat box. We got one more like since I started. So thank you. Now we're up to 16 likes. So please smash that like button and really consider, even subscribing. Doesn't cost you anything. Make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bell and select all so that whether Sparky comes on or I come on, you'll be notified. And let me see here. I was going to go next with John Miller. Thanks for coming in, John. How you doing?
Good to be here.
I know. Absolutely.
Yeah. I've been busy. I took a couple of days off of working on the plans. I'll show those to you later if you want.
Okay.
But I gotta say, Howard was right. And so was Trayan and anybody else that said that propeller prop. See there, you get my age, and sometimes you get things
Gyroscopic
around.
precession we was talking about.
Precession, yeah. And so I got them mixed up, and what I was trying to say wasn't really what I was really trying to say. But I took a deep dive into it, a little help with artificial intelligence, and my handy assistant on the computer did a deep dive into propeller effects,
right?
How they controlled not only full-scale aircraft, but believe it or not, it actually had some information on control line airplanes. And it was interesting what came out of it. The biggest effect that comes out of propeller effects is, as Bob has said, the spiraling slipstream. And it hits that when you're running a prop in a counterclockwise position, it hits that vertical stabilizer and turns the nose in, or tries to.
And rolls it out.
And rolls it out, that's right. And so it's kind of cross-controlled. But and so that's the big one. The next one is the prop, not the precession, the P factor. And the P factor also tries to yaw you in. And then comes precession, which is what I was thinking was doing something else. Precession also tries to turn you into the left. So it's important that you make sure your airplane is either dead ahead or maybe just a little rudder. Just not, it doesn't need much usually, but make sure you got enough, and area of your vertical stabilizer seems to make a difference. Now, I was talking about, I thought it was the precession, the down, it's actually the downward or descending blade that gets a bigger bite of air than the rising blade. And that's why it turns you to the left. But there is a point where if you're flying at a yaw angle, what I read says you will get a bit of nose rise come out of that. And so it could, and here's the thing, when we fly our control line aircraft, especially with a symmetrical airfoil, we're always flying at a yaw, not a yaw, but a little positive. angle of attack. And we're also flying at a yaw angle because the plane is, if it's trimmed properly, should be parallel to the intersection point on the circle, the great circle that's going, which would put the nose slightly out from the path that it's going, as well as the tail. So we have those conditions go. But well, when you have your, and this is what I didn't remember correctly. I knew it, but I wasn't saying it. Is that when you're flying at an angle of attack, your plane will tend to try to rise on you as it's going around. And if you don't make adjustments for that, and there's two kinds of adjustments you can make, and there's the one I like is where you combine them both. But the one that's been used, I remember when I was a kid back in 1957, flying my Nobler, or 58, flying my Nobler, we drooped the trailing edge of the elevator down, about 1/8 of an inch. And that seemed to even things out and make things better. What I like is I'm a big tenant of Bob Whiteley because I respect him so much as a trimmer and as a pilot. And his article was that things that always work advocated the use of down thrust. And it makes sense when you think about it, because if your airplane's flying at an angle of attack and it's trying to rise, a little down thrust will tend to keep it flying level. You can overdo it. I like to use a little down thrust, about 1.5 to 2 degrees, and about 1/2 degree or maybe a degree of positive stab incidence. And that tends to, for the planes that I've been flying, that tends to get rid of my hunt. Sorry, Bobby. But it tends to get rid of the hunt.
People want to get rid of a hunt, let me tell you.
and it works both upright and inverted, I found. So that's what I was trying to say. But I was, you know how it goes.
A lot of those forces that you were talking about, John, a lot of that goes away. And I'm not trying to be a salesman here, but this is just a fact. When you have counter-rotating props on the twin,
yep,
you don't have any spiral airflow around the fuselage whatsoever. So you're not having an effect. And you have one prop going one way and one going the other. So all the forces are canceling. But you still do have what you were talking about, the slight angle of attack. Airplanes will drop into that slight angle of attack or they wouldn't fly because everything is basically 0, 0, 0.
Right.
So you're flying at some degree angle of attack all the time. So that is an issue. And
especially if you're flying slow or if you're flying high speed, the angle of attack would be different. There's also, it might be not a bad idea to consider about 1/2 degree to 1 degree of out thrust if you're having problems.
Or run the inboard motor a little faster than the outboard.
Yeah, well, that's when you got 2 motors. What do you do when you got 3? You know,
it works great.
But anyway, so that's what the deep dive brought me to, and I'm glad I've got it straighter in my mind, and maybe I'll remember it for a couple of years before I forget it again.
All right.
Now, do you want to see where I've gotten to on the Trailblazer, or shall I save it for later?
Sure. Oh, hang on. A question from Philip Bailey. Or is that just a thumbs up? No, just a thumbs up. Okay.
Okay. Let me show it. I'm almost ready with finished with the fuselage. And the cut files and all that for the fuselage. So it's getting close. Okay, is it up there?
Yeah.
All right, I've gotten a lot of notes on it, and today I've been doing these little things like the clips for the flap horns and the elevator horns, and here's the motor mounts, because the motor mounts have it built with the 2 degrees of down thrust in it, and just going through and straightening things out and catching things up, and then trying to make it pretty. Lining things up. Let me get that back where I want it to be. Lining things up so that, like, I don't like, I like to have a little order when on my notes,
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so and I changed I had the different types of hatching on this, and I went to one that more represented looking at the end grain. And so that's where this is. The gear thing is going to get over here, and this is going to get and this is going to get tightened up. And I'm going to put a bill of materials in here so that we'll have a list of all of the materials that are going to be needed. That's pretty much what I got left to do. I've also got it left. I've drawn in right here. I've drawn in what's called depth points, so that they won't print for the. Good thing you got an undo feature on these things. I just moved something I didn't want to move. There, I did it again. Anyway, you can see this white right here. That's the gear blocks. But see, this spar is not going straight in the wing. It's swept back just a little bit. So out where the gear is, it's going to be further back. And since I want the wheels to hit at a particular point, 70 degrees from the center of gravity, I've got to move that back. So that's another thing I got to do. I got to get onto the wing and figure out where that's going to be. So that's where I'm at with that now. I also had to, because I realized when I pulled the motor mounts out, they were like 13, almost 14 inches long on this top one. And I think it comes in 12-foot lengths, or you can get them custom in long lengths, but most guys would probably wind up with a 12-inch lengths. So I had to cut it off, and then I had to go in on all the cut files and set it up so that everything fit. So that's where I'm at with that. And I'm getting anxious to get this done. I figure when I get this done, Phil, I'll send out the Bill and actually Marcel. I'll send you a copy of the fuselage parts so you can look it over. And what I'd like you to do, and anybody that gets it, when you build it, please make notes if you find any errors. It's hard to get this much stuff in a set of plans and not come up with errors. So if you see any errors, just make a note and let me know, and so I can fix it. So when the prototypes are done, the plans will be as accurate as we can get them. Thanks a lot, guys. Any questions?
Yeah, I'm just kind of
I got a question. Who else does a set of plans anywhere near that involved?
I'm sure, well, our old former Pampa president did. He was a hand draftsman. Trying to remember his name. He had a couple of really nice designs that are still in the Pampa.
You talking about Fitzgerald? I mean, oh, for heaven's sakes.
I know, isn't that terrible?
Yeah, that's bad. I have that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gracious.
He
Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah, that's it.
Busso?
He was who?
Busso? Steve Busso?
No.
I'm thinking of Steve Busso.
Who?
Steve Busso. Now, Steve
Busso, that's the guy.
Steve did some very detailed stuff, but it still didn't compare to this, John.
He was an architectural draftsman, and he was very good at it.
Yeah.
Yes, he was, and I've got several sets of his plans. As I said before, I like to collect plans. I've got too many, but you still don't get cut files with his plans.
Well, for those that haven't seen the cut files, let me show them to you here. This is for the laser, okay? But this one over here is set up as a drawing file, so you can take it to your local big scale printer have printed up to you full size. And if you go on this, my CAD Classics vendors corner there on Stunt Hangar, you'll see a presentation there on how to use these files to cut your parts. And they cut pretty fast and they're quite accurate. Well, aren't they, Phil? Can't hear you, Phil.
If you'll just take those and just lay it over the wood and cut it out, it's a breeze.
Yeah.
You feel like you're building a kit when you build one of John's planes.
Well, thank
I
you.
mean, it's just that simple.
So that's what I got.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And we had Brendan and Angstrom up. I don't see them any longer. So they probably had to bail. I understand that. So, Carl, I know we just saw each other about 5 or 6 hours ago. Carl, it was great. Carl had his grandson with him. So we can appreciate having a grandson moment. And that was
yeah, we did, didn't we?
yeah. So we had like 6 people out there flying today, and Carl, his grandson, and 4 other guys out there. So it was a pretty good day out. We're supposed to have rain this weekend, which I can't imagine, but beautiful day today. Did you have anything to add to that, Carl?
No, it's we had a major catastrophe when I was teaching my grandson how to fly, and of course the plane wasn't all that stable, but he still got a little bit of airtime. And even though the plane came back in 3 pieces, the enjoyable part was just spending time with my grandson and hopefully he got a taste of what we do, and maybe planted a seed, so to speak. So it was a good day.
All right. Thank you, Carl. And then I have Tryon. Is Tryon still with us?
Yeah, I got to punch out. So good
All right.
night,
Thanks,
everybody.
Tim. Have a nice evening.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Tryon, how's it going, man? Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
It's all good. It's all good. I had a productive week this week. As you know, I was waxing the molds and stuff like that last, and I did a quick test to see how feasible is to paint in a wing with a waxed mold and stuff like that, and it's a lot better than the semi-permanent stuff. And now I understand why many people are using just this technique. They're just like putting wax in a mold, and I'm pretty sure if I was laying a wing in there or anything in there, it would come out just fine from the release system. But what I was wondering if I can add the painting in a mold and still my golden dream, right, to be able to do that. So the answer was apparently from this little test is yes. So
cool.
I just
You actually paint on top of the wax. Is that right?
Yes, you can actually.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, I put a super thin layer out of a spray can, Rust-Oleum or whatever I had on hand. It's perhaps the worst thing you can use, and it was fine.
All right, cool.
It didn't stick in there. It came off nicely. Edge was good. I let it dry fully, and in the past when I was doing that, I was peeling my tape off, the whole paint would come with the tape with it, right? So it didn't happen this time. It stayed in the mold. It came off. Edge was nice. You'd be happy.
Nice. Nice.
And then I put some tape on top of it to make sure it comes off the mold, and it lifted the paint. So that kind of confirmed what I want to find out. So all good.
All right.
All right. I have some paint with me now.
Hey,
I'm ready
Charles.
to go.
Hang on, Tryon. Yes, Carl.
Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention too, the good part of the day is that we got that Enya 35 running,
Yeah.
and thanks to you and the way you helped me with the fuel consumption, and we had a good motor run on that last flight. So that
You're
was
most
part
welcome. That
of
was beautiful. Only reason why I
the
knew how to
enjoyment
do
of
it,
the day as well.
I had a similar experience, so I knew what the problem was. But yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's great.
Yeah. All right.
You're
All right.
welcome.
Well, thanks again.
You're welcome. Sorry to interrupt you, Tryon. Did you finish what your train of thought? Or maybe not.
Yeah, I'm pretty much done, you know. And in addition to that, I just ordered some Oracle that's made for stenciling. It's a stencil material, and I'm just gonna start to pull up the vinyl cutting machine and start painting and start making parts.
All right.
And with that, I'm done. So thanks.
Very, very cool. And Sparky, I haven't been keeping up. I'm actually still going back when I get a chance to go back to the Vector or Spectre repairs. So I've seen some of the thumbnails of the your videos, but I haven't been keeping up. But what's been happening with you? So I know you've been doing tanks. Oh, you got a bunch of them there.
Yeah, there's 10 of them there. I've been painting on the Viper. I'm gonna lay out the Sunburst tonight and paint it tomorrow. It's the Viper profile. It's basically done. Gonna be very, I'll show you. It's very plain. But it doesn't matter. You don't get appearance points for profile anyway.
Right.
That's what it looks like.
That looks nice.
Hey, what's wrong with
The
that?
Sparky question. The Sparky question. What does it weigh?
I don't know yet.
Hmm.
Probably as much as the blue one.
Yeah, it looks nice.
I like that. It's simple. I like simple.
Yeah.
Who paints his planes like that? Exact same color combination almost.
I haven't done a red, white, and blue one for 4 years, 3 years.
No, someone else is has this exact paint scheme.
Circulus.
3 years, that's like what, 40 airplanes?
Yeah, quite a few. They've been orange. Orange and reds, and now the blue one. But
Nice.
you know, just something real simple. Just put 2 stripes on it. I'm gonna put a sunburst on the bottom, so when you turn up, it, you know, it explodes. I don't know what it weighs. I would, like I say, I would say that is going to be maybe lighter than this.
Wow.
This is all my RC wood I have. I'll get the scale. We'll see what it is. Got to add the tank, which is right there, and probably 2 ounces of clear. Let's see, where is my foam block? And I'll just nose it down. Power. Mode. Weighs 45 ounces as it is here. So it'll be 47 probably. So
Nice.
it's a little lighter than the big one. But sure feels solid. I mean, it's like a bat.
Very nice.
Nobody builds beam wing profile.
Sparky, what motor's in that one?
That is a Brian Gardner G21 46.
Wow. 47
Tim-
ounces. That'll fly well.
The late Tim Weeks used to build I-beam profiles.
Who did?
The late, he's gone now, but his name was Tim Meeks. He was from California and then moved to New Mexico. And he passed away several years ago, but he built 3 Pathfinders. They were all I-beams.
Tim was originally from Ohio, wasn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, he flew with Billy Werwich. Matter of fact,
and
he actually had a Piper Colt. He was a full-scale pilot, and he took Billy up for a ride one day, and the guy forgot the safety wire, the oil plug, drain plug, when he put it back together, and the oil came out, it seized, and they crashed.
Holy smokes.
And they hit in a field. They had to bounce over there was like a wagon out in the middle of the field. They bounced over the wagon, went off the end of a cliff. Airplane went upside down into a tree, and they ended up upside down, and they had to take their seatbelts off and fall to the top of the airplane and climb down the tree.
Holy smokes. He never told me about that. You know, he was a commercial pilot later in life.
Yeah. Billy told me that story.
Damn, lucky to be alive, huh?
He's lucky to be alive on many counts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn.
Nice guy though. Like he had dogs, a dachshund.
He was a heck of a guitar player too.
Yeah.
Very cool. Hey, Spark, did you have anything else you wanted to add? All right. Hey, Philip Bailey, it's your time up.
Nothing new to report. I've got the SV, but I thought I was going to get to try to fly it tomorrow, and got a motor in it, got everything, got to spin it up one time, and realized that I didn't have the spinner that I want to use on it, anything close to it. But anyway, I got one on there, and you could see the thing wobbling and feel a wobble in it. So I pulled the plug out of it right quick.
Right.
Went ahead and called Innovative and ordered a new prop shaft and everything I need to rebuild it. It didn't look like it was bent, but when you spin it up, you can tell, yeah, it is.
Wow.
So the plane's back together though, and it looks pretty decent. Not for lack of my trying to mess up the monocoque the best I could, but anyway, it looks pretty decent, and I think it's going to be all right. It looks to be all right, and I think it's going to be fine. I just might have to wait another week to fly it. Tomorrow is supposed to be windy as heck, and it was windy here today. Boy, we went to a funeral today, and it was outdoors. It was so windy. It was funny. All the girls' hair was standing straight out. It was, oh, what a mess. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. It wasn't a lot of fun, but you know, it was fun to see everybody's hair blowing all over the place, because some of these girls are always, you know, it's got to be just right.
I understand that.
It was kind of cool. But I heard two of our really good friends' daughters sing Amazing Grace, and I knew they were talented and I knew they're beautiful, but my word, they can sing. When they get together, the harmony is just incredible.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've known them all their lives, but I never knew they could do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's pretty much my week. I've been worked on the SV, got it ready to go. Now I've got to pull a motor and rebuild it. And then I've been working on a couple other little projects. I'm working on trying to finish Tom Looper's Ombre, plane Tommy designed. And when I get finished with it, I'm going to get back on a couple of Bobby's designs. I've got a Crossfire or two to finish, and then I've got to mostly paint. And then I just made up my mind the other night. I was looking at those pictures Monday night, and I said, dadgummit, I've been telling myself I was going to build it for 10 years at least. I'm going to build that Saturn. I'm going to resurrect Bobby's Saturn, because that's one of the prettiest planes I ever saw on the tarmac. I don't know what it was about it, but just so striking. Bobby, if you got a picture of the underneath of that thing, I've never seen. I don't have a single picture of the underside of it.
The bottom was the same as the top, I think.
But the fuselage, it's just the blue stripe. Did that go from side to side? And
oh, you're talking about the blue one, the red, white, and blue one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it did have blue on the bottom and red on the top.
Did it just go where it is on the side?
I'll see if I can do a picture while you guys are talking. Go ahead, keep talking.
Okay.
Let me see while we're waiting on that. Hey, Mike, how you doing, Mike Lunky? I see you're working on a plane. Is that for the fly-in with Joe Mata? I mean, literally a fly-in.
That is a Joe Mata airplane. Yes, it is. Samuel and I went out today. We got 6 airplanes ready for Joe, and we went out and test flew all of them today.
Wow.
And oh damn, we already took it. Well, we have 5 now, not 6, because I crashed one of them. So
Oops. Oops.
The Top Flight ARF Nobler with the Trouble Star 40 had a double star Trouble Star 40 in it. It sagged real bad in the overhead 8s, and it almost quit. And I lost line tension, and it just free flighted and lawn darted, and it broke the motor off clean at the mounts. So I just took the tank out of that. We're going to give that to Will Davis. Since there's no motor mounts and it has a nice flat firewall on it, it's a good candidate for electric for Will Davis and his grandkids. So I'm not gonna try to repair it. We're just gonna give it away. But the other 5 all flew pretty well. I'm just I needed to swap out a needle on one of them, and I'm going to change the tank on one of them. But we had a pretty successful day. Joe will have at least 5 airplanes to fly when he gets here. So
Joe Mata just said, "Pressure's off me now."
yeah, well, that's why we went out and test flew all this stuff today, because I didn't want to be jerking around fighting gremlins and stuff when Joe is here. I want to make sure all this stuff works. It's got the right tanks, right props. It's all working properly, trimmed out, balanced. You know, we added some tail weight here to this one, some tip weight there to that one. The 2 best ones, though, the Pathfinder, Ching Ching, John Miller, and the Vector 40 that I got from Steve Hines. They're both flapped airplanes, obviously, and they both flew like a dream with the 46. So those are rock solid airplanes. The Prowler I got from Lottmore is ready to go with the OS 35. And then really the only issues I had was with these 2 Super Spiders. They didn't care for the tanks that I had on them, and one of them had a bad. They were just going screaming lean right after takeoff. No matter what I did with the needle, they were just going screaming lean. So I'm swapping out the needles. I'm going to swap out the tanks, and yeah, Joe will have a whole bunch of good stuff to pile in when he gets here. Although he did text me and say he's only going to need 1 airplane for the week. So,
all right, well.
That's confidence.
Is he coming for a contest?
Phil.
Okay. That's it. Hang on just a minute.
Wow, very, very nice looking. Wow.
That was one of the most impressive airplanes on the ground and in the air. And Bobby just flew the dickens out of it. It was just
pretty
beautiful.
impressive. The last time it was on the ground, that was the end of the day. This picture was taken. That airplane was in pieces. That's when the lead out broke.
Oh, hey, you got a little rudder on that?
What's that?
Left rudder? Or
It
right
had adjustable, but I don't
I had
remember
an
having any
adjustable rudder,
offset.
but I had it straight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cause it kind of looks
That's
like
beautiful.
the picture, like it might have been a little to the right, to the outside of the circle. And
All right, maybe a tiny bit. I'm good.
Yeah.
Bill. I don't know. I'm gonna try something here. Does that show now?
Not yet.
No, see you.
No. Okay. Hold on. I'm trying to do something here I've never done before. Yeah, there's the top view.
Oh, nice. Beautiful.
Very little rudder.
That was at the 96 Nationals.
Oh, come on. Phone's acting up.
Now that is a red paint. I mean, it doesn't look like red now on the internet.
Yeah, it's a little pinkish looking, but the color value is off in the picture a little bit. Yeah, it's just a really good red.
Got it. Thank you, Bobby.
Yeah, no problem.
That's
was just
pretty, Bobby, but I still like the bronze dog.
Like the bronze one?
Yeah.
Yes, how it goes.
You mean that one?
That one, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is nice.
That was one of the best airplanes I've ever owned in my life.
That
Good,
air scoop
good.
on top that actually goes to cool the crankcase.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice, nice.
It was a good airplane.
And an OPS in it, huh?
Good airplane.
Very nice, very nice. Steve Michella, how you doing? Yeah, I see you got a haircut.
Oh
I'm
no,
all
say
right.
it ain't so.
You got his hair shaved.
He's been hanging out with you.
No, he hasn't.
Good. He
But
looks good.
yeah, you look good. He has a good head. You look good, Steve.
Thank you. I just been hanging out trying to fly today, but it was a little bit too windy, so kind of just didn't really get too much done. Just kind of a trip to the park and back to work, and that was it.
Now, how far is it for you to get to the park to fly? Because I don't know where you live, but how far is it for you?
43 miles.
Okay.
Oh,
So that's
43.
depending on when you leave and what time you leave, it can be a long trip, can it?
Yeah, I try to leave by 8:30 in the morning because I've been going between beaches, and it kind of slows me down. But if I leave from my house, I usually get out by 8 o'clock, and I usually get there by 9, no later than 9:30. But when I stay at my mom's and then go to my other house to get my planes and have to do all the stopping and going and everything in between, I usually get there about 9:30 earliest, 10:30 latest. And usually everybody at 10:30 or 11, they're pretty much, they don't hang out too long. They usually go home by noon. So
yeah,
man, you don't
but
realize
it's all right.
how good you got it.
Yeah.
No, man, I didn't realize how good I had it. I can be at the field in 20 minutes.
Right. I need to set up a stooge, get my stooge going again to where I can go out there and I don't have to depend on anybody. But
that's what Tommy calls me.
Dealing with the airplane. Yeah. Yeah, you're the stooge. Either that or I need to get me a stooge that answers the phone all the time when I call him, and wants to go.
Yeah. What's Joe Mata, who I fly with, he has the best. I think he's like 3 minutes away, depending upon the lights.
Man.
Gordon Delaney has 2 blocks.
Yeah, well, I think Joe might have him beat. Joe Mata has it made in the shade. He really does. And Dennis Adamison, hey Dennis, you're going to sleep on us? I guess he is. Hey Dennis, you gotta unmute yourself.
There he goes.
Hey Dennis.
Yeah, I was not completely gone, but I was definitely on the woozy side. So
yeah.
Remember
how about our little buddy with Circle One? You can't beat that. Walk out the back door.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. But Joe Ma is a close second because remember when we left Joe Ma's house and I pointed to the field? That was like a couple minutes away, right? Right, Dennis?
And right there. Nice place to fly.
Yeah. So
mine's 12 minutes away, but I got a pavilion with electric service so I can charge batteries. It's a really nice place.
That is nice. I have electric too. I have power where I fly at, where Joe flies at as well.
Yeah, I do too, but I got to walk to the other side of the facility, to the RC side, to get to it.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Phil.
Yes, sir.
You were asking if I was helping Joe for a contest?
Yeah.
No, he's flying here to Tennessee from California and spending 5 days here so I can help him learn the stunt pattern.
Oh, cool.
All right.
Cool.
That's what this all these airplanes are for. He's coming in the 3rd week of April, flying in on a Monday, flying out on a Friday, and hopefully usually we have great weather in April, so we'll get 3 flying days, hopefully 6 sessions, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, for 3 days straight. And I've got an arsenal of airplanes to get him from flying the beginner pattern to flying the intermediate pattern, flying the whole AMA
Well, I
pattern.
tell you what, I hope you have better weather than we've had lately.
We've had great
here's
weather
been,
lately.
Man, it's been nasty windy here and
Yeah.
rain. Goodness. I'm trying to get a guy to come and do my backyard. We did a pad to put a garage in our carport, and I'm trying to get the dirt moved around. And I thought it was dry. The wind had been blowing for 3 days. He come out here with that 6-wheel thing and didn't go 5 feet. Said, nope, too wet. I have to come back in 2 weeks, or a week or two. I mean, it just about sunk. I thought, good grief, the ground is wet.
That happens.
But anyway, we'll try to get it done eventually. But we're still trying to move ahead, get things done, and get some stuff built. And I was trying to paint. My wife says, you might want to think about that a little bit. I said, what's the matter, honey? She said, look at your car. Look at the car and look at your truck. And she was right as usual. They're yellow. So they're actually bright red, victory red, both of them. And they were yellow. There was just an absolute, everything was just covered in pollen. Everything's in bloom right now.
All right.
So it's ridiculous.
Well, paint the airplane yellow.
There you go. Yellow airplanes show up good against the green background.
I have one that's gonna be yellow, but that's a color I can see, and I want to do it, but I don't want it to be pollen yellow. I want it to be the color that I actually have 3 airplanes that are yellow. But anyway,
well, if you shoot it in clear and just set it outside before the clear dries, it's like a powder coat. You'll get a yellow powder coated airplane.
Yeah, but it all ends up so rough.
Oh, lots of clear dope.
We're gonna get there eventually. I've got over the winter, when everybody thought I was sitting on my duff, I've collected some paint stuff and a new air compressor and a whole bunch of stuff. And this year we're gonna cut down. I'm tired of getting laughed at for how many airplanes I got that need painting. I'm gonna get some stuff painted. So we ever get the weather for it now, I'm ready to shoot some paint. But it's going to have to be a little better than it was today. I mean, you literally could see just a wave of yellow going across the backyard, just a cloud, just incredible. I said, we got home from the funeral, and I thought, well, I've got about 3 hours before it starts getting dark. So I got out there and tried to get everything set up, and we just kept seeing waves of just pollen going by. So no, we didn't get anything painted today, but we'll get there. Like I say, we've yeah. We're talking about painting a model. Come on, Charles.
I know it's this weather.
Oh, I don't, whatever.
I understand. It's about the plane painting. I understand. I hear you.
Yeah, but we'll get there. I'm gonna have some new planes this year.
All right.
Gonna have 3 of Bobby's designs this year. So he'll be well represented in the area anyway. I have to have a Genesis, I lost my Genesis, so I'm working on a new one, and we're gonna have a Genesis this year and 2 Crossfires, regular Crossfire and an XLTC. For those of you that don't know, a tail dragger and a tricycle gear. But there's some other subtle differences in them, but pretty airplanes. But I still don't think they're gonna beat that Saturn.
Well, speaking of Bob's planes, Dave Sabon, Bob, you might be interested in hearing this. His best flying plane, according to him, is his Genesis.
Wow.
And he has quite a few selection of planes too. So
I got a brand new one. I got maybe 5 flights on it, and it's not even trimmed yet, but I got a brand new one. But it's a single motor airplane. So what am I going to do with that?
Yeah, send it to me. Send it to me. You got questions? Send it to me.
What are we doing with a single motor airplane?
I'm going to fly it, son. Hey, I saw you fly your single motor one at Brodak last year. And I never get to where I can do what you did.
That's a 22-year-old airplane.
I know. I remember it when it was brand new at the Nats, but it flew great.
That was a turbulent day, wasn't it? That was turbulent. Wow.
Oh God, it was turbulent. but Bobby went through that wind like it wasn't there, and his turns were as sharp as ever, and just.
I was judging that day. I was judging expert those 2 days. And I figured at the end, and those guys were having so much trouble getting through the air. I figured I have to go out there and see what they're going through. So I got the airplane out of the car. I wanted to just see how bad it was. And I found out it was really bad.
It was nasty. It was nasty.
Yeah, terrible.
Oh.
Well, so my hats off to those guys. They did a good job.
Yeah, they sure did.
Let me get these.
I got tickled.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Charles. Go ahead.
We got these last chats in. Edward Callall, he gave us a like. Thank you very much. So that brings us up to 26 likes. Appreciate that. Anybody who hasn't hit the like button, please do that. That helps the analytics of the show. I'm going to be ending the show pretty shortly. So hopefully,
oh, shoot.
If anybody has anything else to say, like I see John. Go ahead, John Miller.
Yeah, I forgot to mention this. I spoke for several hours with Walter Umlin on the phone today.
Oh, good.
And he's having some medical problems. They're taking. He's going in. They're going to put some probes into his back, the nerves back there, and bring the wires out and hang a box on them and do some stimulation to see if it's going to help him with his walking. So if you think of it, keep him in your prayers.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well,
yeah, there you go. Real quick, that's the new one.
Ooh, I like it.
Very pretty.
That
looks mean, like it's going to kick your butt.
Yeah, but it's only got one motor. I mean, how good can it be?
Well, I think in your hands, I think it can be pretty good.
It actually flies really well. I almost used it at the Nationals last year, but I like flying the Twins.
Twins are nice, aren't they, Bob?
I tell you what, you get tired of it. You get tired of it, just give me a call. I'll come get it.
Well,
I'll take it off your hands.
We might talk. I got so many airplanes right now. I got to get rid of a few.
Well, just let me know. Pennsylvania ain't that far, brother.
You remember, Bob, about 20 years ago, we started talking about twins?
I remember you with that twin, was it Flight Streak or something?
Yeah, twin Flight Streak, yeah. Yeah.
The orange one.
Yeah, big one. Almost
a mile-long wing.
But almost 8 feet, 7.5 feet, I think, something like that.
It was like you could surf on that airplane.
Oh, it looked like a surfboard going over, that's for sure. It was fun. It was so high aspect ratio. I flew it in the wind one day. And I got a 3 view of that airplane while I was flying it. It was amazing.
I bet you did. I bet you did.
And that was in level flight. That was.
Ooh.
I've flown a twin flight streak. I've flown Dave Sabon had a twin flight streak when I didn't have a plane to fly. Let me fly that. And that was a big plane. I think he actually did literally put 2 flight streaks together.
Yep.
And had 2 25s, and it pulled my arm off. One of the most powerful planes out there.
Yeah. I'll fly one of Gordy's sometime. Gordy's
airplane. I only can imagine. I've seen
they'll hurt you. Those airplanes will hurt you bad.
That's why the little red one was such a nice change. It just
great airplane.
It didn't pull real hard or anything. It just stayed out there, and you just drew the pattern with like oh.
You can fly that airplane any size you want to fly it, any kind of corner. It locks bottoms. It's one of the best flying. It's embarrassing how good it flies, actually, for a profile. It really is one of the best airplanes I've ever flown. And I think Howard actually, felt the same way about it. Howard owns it.
Now he owns it, yeah.
Yeah. He's not here, but yeah, he owns it. Yeah.
Well, the only guy I know that could handle his too much and his
the Gemini
twin is Bruce up there in Canada.
Yeah. Bruce Perry.
Big enough to handle it, big enough and strong enough to handle it. Because
I flew the Gemini. This is what happened. My right arm is now longer than my left arm.
Right. But it did fly, boy, did it fly.
Oh my God.
I mean,
what got me, we went to VSC one year and Gordon was overtaking a picture with the airplane and he was hiding behind it. He disappeared behind the airplane.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gordy could hide. Gordy could hide behind a half egg.
I told
Okay.
you the story about
I'm
when
not
he
touching
went
that.
over at the 95 Nats, and Wendy gone into the one of the convenience houses, the shit house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was in there, and Gordon didn't know. He thought it was somebody else, and he went over there and wrapped his arms around that sucker. And when he tried to get out, it wouldn't move. And he was yelling and all of that. And Gordon, when he realized who it was, Gordon was afraid to let loose.
Yeah,
Oh,
funny story. I have heard that. That is funny.
Dean Pappas went to an RC pattern meet at the Nationals, and it was who was it with the kid, Chip Hyde. Dean went into the convenience thing, fiberglass toilet, and Chip Hyde backed his truck up to the door and then parked it and went away.
Oh.
That still doesn't beat the best. The best I ever saw was, well, I didn't see it. I heard about it. Was Paul Walker and the Handle.
Oh yeah.
Where he walked out. The guy was starting his engine, walked out into the center of the circle, and he disconnected the handle, put it in his back pocket.
Yeah.
He was standing over on the other side there, and the guy gets it running, needle runs out there. 2 wires.
That happened to Glenn Metter too. With Kevin Capitanelli did that to Glenn years ago at the Circle Burners.
Oh, did he?
By the way, Glenn is. Anybody know Glenn? How many people here knew Glenn? Glenn's coming back. He visited yesterday. He spent most of the day with me yesterday. He's building a new airplane, and he's really back into it. It's really good to see him back. And Jimmy Casal may be coming back.
Wow.
Oh, good deal.
Who?
Jimmy Casal.
Oh, really? Oh, man.
That'd be good.
Some retread.
That'll liven things up.
Yeah.
I watched him. I watched a video of him, just him while he's flying. That guy did a dance out there as he flew.
Yep.
Yep.
We have a guy here in California, Al Shorley, does the same thing. He dances, he moves so much. To me, when I was judging him, it was kind of a distraction. Because he's moving so much, it's hard to keep your eye on him because it's like, why is he doing all these gyrations and moving? It's like, wow, it's really animated.
That keeps his rhythm.
Yeah, really animated.
I haven't seen Miles. He's still around?
Who?
I haven't yet. You know what, Al Shorley, I saw him a couple of years ago. So it's haphazard, and I don't have his phone number. I don't think so. I mean, I think he's a member of the club of the Knights of the Round Circle, I believe. I don't know. Hey, Stephen Michello, you seen Al Shorley lately? If anybody has seen him, it would be Stephen Michelli or John Wright. But anyways, no, I haven't seen him in a while. Hey guys, I've had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for coming in, and thanks for all the pictures. I love.
Happy Easter, everybody.
Oh, happy Easter!
Happy Easter!
Happy Easter!
Happy Easter!
Remember the reason for the season, boys.
And how?
Absolutely.
Anyways, I want to thank everybody. Hopefully, you have a chance to go flying this weekend or work in your shop, and come back and tell us all about it Monday. So it'll be same channel, same time. And with that, fair wind.